Well, hello, welcome in. This is Andrew, the Archon Philosopher, talking philosophy to the philosopher in all of us. Well, this is again, an esoteric subject. I think it merges well with video a couple of videos ago, our angels gods, or sorry, our angels aliens. And the answer there was yes, and the answer here is yes. They are all non-human sentient creatures, and that's I think the takeaway from this, as well as the motorcycle there. But this is the takeaway that they all belong to a set of non-human sentient creatures. They're sentient, they're aware of being aware, and they can speak about this. Today in our skies, we have high technology, and what makes us think that they didn't back then? Because after all, we have documents from back then that say, yeah, they had high technology. They came down from the heavens. They could do all of this. They mentored humans. So apparently, we have the same situation then as today. And I know it's difficult. I know for some people, they have an idea of gods in the plural, the gods of Egypt or the gods of Mesopotamia, the gods of Greek. And they think of them as fanciful ideas, projections of human ideas onto very powerful, immortal creatures. But what happens if it's different? What happens if what they were describing was a very close contact with what we today only have as a distant contact? We see them in the craft in the sky, and we imagine what the pilots are, the builders of these craft are. And what happens if, as they tell us, they were there? And so we have stories. If we want to go back, we can look at it. And here's a picture here of what may be Namu, the first and oldest creator god of Sumer, the ancient Mesopotamian civilization. And we have Ptah here from Egypt, the oldest creator god. And this may be the same species, which is an interesting thing. How come the species may look different? Well, that's an interesting thing. We'll get to that in some future video. It is possible. And what we have also is Thoth from Egypt. That's a very odd-looking creature. That creature apparently was instructing humans on writing. It was very friendly and had a role in the afterlife, recording the details. Then we have the Romans. They went back to Mithra from ancient Persia. And for some reason, they wanted to make this type of creature. Yes, it's a human, wrapped around with a snake with wings and the head of a lion. What is that? Well, the Romans maybe had some contact, but maybe they got it indirectly. I think they got it indirectly, as did the Greeks. But you never know, because, well, let's do it right now. We'll go to the Etruscan Civilization, which I mentioned, that this was probably the last of the gods that stayed after the reset. They had a reset, which was the late Bronze Age collapse, or the deluge, or whatever you want to have it. It was the conversion from gods to monotheism. A whole lot of things happened at this point. But for some reason, this great civilization, the Etruscan Civilization, just formed in northwest Italy. And this was their artwork. Here we have Romulus and Remus sucking on the teat, and we have Namu doing the same thing. And the Etruscan Civilization just appeared out of nowhere. We don't understand their language. We got a couple of words, but not the language. And look at this artwork. This is stunning. So this was the formation of Rome by Romulus and Remus. So they established Rome, and they had a lot to do with a lot of things in North Italy. And then they just faded out. They faded out. So what it looks like is one of the gods went over and just set up shop over there and was allowed to stay. most gods were forced to leave because ultimately they were doing some interbreeding stuff. Yeah, interbreeding, nasty. Now, they got too caught up. They got too caught up in it. But here we have Pazuzu, who was a household god. And one wonders what type of creature this is with wings, and it was supposed to protect pregnant women. So you would have this in the house, and this was a symbol of the protection of life. So what were these ancient Mesopotamians thinking about? I don't think that we should be dismissive of what they said and what they thought. It's easy to be dismissive and call them primitive, but they weren't primitive. They had a civilization that lasted 3,000 years. They weren't primitive. They were sophisticated. They had great ideas, very different than our own, but great ideas. What they did not have was our modern technology. But we only really got that in 1500 with Francis Bacon and the scientific method. But before that, we were basically very similar in technology. So our great boon here was modern science. I'm a defender of modern science and all that it's given us. It's given us this ability to communicate ultimately. So don't be dismissive would be one warning I would put. Don't try to say that your ideas of what the gods were their ideas. They're telling us something very different. And if you wanted to say it's mythology, it's just legend, and some people point to strange dating, but it's hard to confirm what a year means. It's meant very different things, even in the last little while. You go back to the beginning of the Gregorian calendar, for example. Anyway, this is it. They all belong to a set: the aliens, the gods, the angels, and other names. It's just a naming convention for any influence we get from non-human sentient creatures. They're alive, they have kids, they die, and yet they are very, very powerful. They seem to be among us and have been since the very beginning of recorded history, and probably before. It looks like we're genetic cousins, and we have to be for some reasons that consciousness at this level of sophistication, that we're all in sentience. This has to have a very complex connector. And apparently, the easiest way to do it is to rejig DNA. So it looks like we're genetic cousins with all of these. And that's one reason, perhaps, why the demiurge, the Ptah or Namu species, can just change its form. It has powers that the rest of us don't have. That's why everyone's afraid of it. Yeah. Anyway, we'll get to that later on. Thanks for dropping in and supporting this channel, liking, subscribing, commenting, sharing, all that good stuff. And until next time, we'll keep on watching the skies. And remember, this world may be magnificent and marvelous and sometimes malevolent, but it is never magical. Yes.